Hello listeners, and welcome to Tales from the Dark Dragon's Inn, Episode 4, Infestation. First, allow me to offer my sincerest apologies. Erdak's audio in this particular episode is especially poor. Unfortunately, there's simply nothing I can do about this in post. That said, moving forward, I promise that things improve significantly, and if you stick with us, you won't regret it. Before we get started, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our friends over at The Talent Agency, a Shadowrun Anarchy podcast. If you're ever looking for shows produced by queer content creators, look no further. The Talent Agency features a slew of cyberpunk-infused heists, driven by art, high fashion, music, theatre, and the entertainment industry. With a rotating group of diverse actors, Nathan Blades, the host and DM of this show, has put together something altogether unique and exciting. You can find it now on iTunes, and I hope you'll give it a shot. I'd also like to take a moment to talk about RPGcasts.com. This site is working to create a comprehensive directory of RPG-driven podcasts, including ourselves, and is a great way to find new content that aligns with your interests. Get over there and take a look. This week we have the whole crew. Vinny as Murren, the half-orc monk, Nina as Mix, the Aasimar Warlock of the Fae, Tom as Urbak, the Lizard Man Wizard, Liz as Toby, a Tiefling Warlock of the Raven Queen, Dean as Zilpip, a Gnome Arcanist, Tom as Doomsinger the Bard, and last, but hopefully not least, I'm Ray. I play Scraw, the Bugbear Barbarian. I'm also your host, Game Master, and, well, just about everyone else. Now, find yourself a table. Visterion will send someone over shortly. Get comfortable, settle in. The show is about to start. Though their journey thus far has shown them great peril, the scales of justice will see no rest. Having learned what they were able from the captive cultist, our heroes set forth to do what they can. Many dangers await, both within and without, though the greatest risk of all may just be their own incompetence.
Mix. After you left the party with Oz on your shoulder, you were led away by one of the guards and you were seen to by a tabaxi medic who did their best to take care of your wounds. They have bandaged the wound itself. It is no longer bleeding. However, you haven't recovered too much health. The predominant method of healing that the tabaxi employ is primarily for internal injury and things like muscle soreness. It's essentially Thai massage, but with purring.
Oh, that sounds so wonderful.
At this point, the prisoner has been led away. Nighthill has begun to leave his room, and, well, you are now all together, except for Mix, obviously. Doomsinger, predominantly you haven't really understood the vast majority of what's been going on. Everyone's been speaking common, but all the responses from the cultists came in Draconic. So you and Zilpip have essentially been relatively clueless.
I've sat here strumming quietly.
What time is it?
Approximately between 9 and 10 o'clock, the attack is still ongoing on the city.
AM or PM?
PM. It was getting towards nighttime as you entered the city.
Now you've all finished fleming on each other, have we actually found out anything?
Some religious madmen seem to think that going around slaughtering everyone and taking their money is enough to placate their god. What's the way with these people?
Extortion.
Toby turns to the Doomsinger. He's basically like, well, he was up front after we had to get the shit out of him, I suppose. Basically, their intention is to try and rise Tiamat, and for that, they're going from town to town, amassing a hoard to offer to her. He doesn't actually know how they're going to bring her back. He seems to be rather low down the rung. They do have a camp that they've taken people to, 12 miles south of the town.
Okay, well, I suppose it's nice to have a hobby, isn't it? I suppose if you're going to do anything, why not raise an elder dragon?
Ray, can I speak to Tabor in Gnomic?
He has already left the room, but you can pursue him if you wish. He has matters to attend.
Yeah, I'll do that. Oh, well, I guess
you've
we left the room, right?
To go.
Yeah.
So you leave the room to pursue Tabor. You find yourself in the main central room with various other townsfolk, and he seems to sort of just be heading out of the tower.
Well, I'm gonna have to try and convince him as convincingly as I can be. Well, not really, but just that it's very suspicious that there's a group of Dragonborn people showing up.
So you're following him out of the room. How do you get his attention? Because at the moment he seems like he's got a destination to go to.
I'm just going to run up to him really quick, get up to speed, and then walk beside him at a fast pace.
Oh, Did you need something?
You find it very suspicious that there's a group of Dragonborn people Dragonborn-speaking people who show up, start bringing through a prisoner from a so-called Tiamat cult who's attacking your city.
It's strange that there's a cult attacking the city to begin with, to be totally honest with you. But people speaking Draconic is not entirely unusual.
You speak Draconic?
Not personally, but I know many friends of mine speak Draconic quite fluently.
Do you know what they were discussing in there, behind the scenes?
I can't say that I do, but most
And you've let them into your citadel?
Well, they rescued several townsfolk, and they were vouched for by a number of people who rescued several other townsfolk. It seemed like it would have been rather unusual for them to have done that. Now that we have one of their cultists captured and chained, he's down in the dungeon. I'm not particularly concerned about their presence, but perhaps we can put them to good use outside of the keep.
I would keep them at a arm's length, especially regarding any information you get from them. Any intelligence could be somewhat counterintelligence.
Well, what say you to staying with them? If you are concerned for their whereabouts, their activities, keep close. You monitor their activities. If there's anything unusual, report back to me, and keep all of this between us.
I'll let you know if anything goes awry. I'll keep the tether to the truth, so to speak.
Please do, certainly. I was hoping that you would stay with them in any case, as they seem to be quite forthright and fairly gung-ho about doing something about the situation that we're in. I thought your skills may assist, he says, and he sort of looks at you, he says, please refrain from torturing people. If it comes up, it's really not necessary, but I apologize that that's the impression that you got. When I said that, I thought your skills would come in handy. That wasn't quite what I meant. It was very effective, don't get me wrong, but please avoid torturing.
While operating under your banner, so to speak, I shall refrain from anything that would do you or your reputation harm.
I appreciate that. Is there anything else?
No, I'll go back to them and get
Watch
moving
them
on
closely.
this.
Hopefully they'll spend most of their time talking in the common tongue.
Sneaky, sneaky.
And he kind of taps his nose at you, nods.
But what's the point in dying if it's not for something brave?
You keep that to yourself.
I like that thinking. Yes, dying for glory is truly worthy. That's scroll.
Not when we're trying to save innocent people, man.
Hey, well, I mean, surely laying down your life in the line of saving innocent people is precisely the best cause to do so.
Not in the context Mr. Doomsinger is speaking of.
In an unusual turn of events, I actually agree with the bugbear.
Mix would stick her tongue out if she was in the same room, but she still isn't.
You guys are having this conversation amongst yourselves as Zilpip re-enters the room.
Well, we're clearly going to stop this cult, aren't we? It's something to do.
Well, I think it'd be the more prudent thing to do before they, pillage the entire countryside.
An old priest over here, he rather likes getting rid of naughty dragons because he follows a nice dragon, isn't that right?
A word of that is true, yes.
I feel I should point out that we are in the centre of the battlefield right now. Getting to where we need to get to will be much more difficult than we anticipated.
Small issue.
No, it's a large issue.
Scroll kind of looks around like he hasn't been paying attention. He's like, where exactly are we going? I'm sorry, I may have missed that. Put me in?
I have no bloody idea. You're all speaking jibber-jabber and flim-flam.
No, I'm speaking common.
Well, you weren't at the time when we were finding out where you were going, because I can't speak Draconic.
So did they keep about 2 miles south of here? Which is where
The camp
some kind
2
of...
miles south of the town we're currently located in.
Well, there, the 12-mile camp.
Well, the doctor does raise a good point. Getting through the town while it's under attack is probably not going to be too easy.
Why don't we attack the attack? They won't expect that.
It's about to end the attack if that is within our power first. I don't exactly feel great about leaving these townspeople behind to deal with this crap. They probably won't be here by the time we're finished doing whatever we're doing, assuming we're still alive at the end of it.
As you guys are having this conversation, Nix is brought into the room by a Tabaxi medic, and it is the same medic as before. And you see your friends. They are here. They are well. They are whole, mostly, except for him. I have done. I must go and help thee. Now, please, continue. Leave me be. And she just wanders out of the room. Oz is sitting there, happily kind of playing with Mix's hair. He's like pulling on one of the strands, just...
Hey, that hurts. Stop that, naughty bird. Go back
Toby
to
just takes him back.
Yeah, I was gonna say. To be fair, he was lovely company. He only started doing that when I felt better.
He was just preening you.
Hello, friends. Hello. I return. Nix is feeling much more relaxed and refreshed after the cat Thai massage, which she's still very fond of.
Toby briefly fills her in on what's going on and the fact that they're currently discussing their next course of action.
I will let you guys know, because of the nature of the way the beginning of this game works, there is going to be two ways for you to heal. Obviously, you can have a standard short rest. Obviously, you can also have a standard long rest. If you are in the keep, it is possible for you to visit a medic. What visiting a medic will allow you to do is take a short rest. They will roll a single d8, and they will do their best to heal you or help you feel recovered. It is also possible for you to do what I'm going to refer to as a roughshod short rest. You can take a short rest, and in a period of 5 minutes, you can take a short rest, and you can use your hit die to heal yourself as you would normally during a short rest. However, as this is a roughshod short rest, so that you are not wasting time, as in-game real-world time, you'll have a single point of exhaustion for every roughshod short rest you take until you have a long rest to recover.
I would like to visit a Tabaxi medic to get my health up, please.
I would like to do the same.
Does anybody else need to see a doctor?
I'm pretty sure Toby's fine. He didn't take any damage at all.
Nick, you know where the medics are. Do you want to take them there?
Sure. They can follow me.
Welcome with.
So, you guys are following Mix. She is leading you out of the tower. You make your way through out into the courtyard. You bypass the various townsfolk and you walk through the main courtyard where you see the guards that are still guarding the doorway. You hear now a lot more activity outside of the walls. The bell of the keep is no longer ringing to tell people to come to the keep. Zilpip, are you sticking with these guys?
Yep. I'm gonna
Need some
go
healing?
tag along with them.
Bell in the keep is no longer ringing, and you're walking past the guards that are by the door to the keep. There's a lot more commotion outside. And as you are heading towards the area where the medics are, you encounter Escobar, who is the dwarf that you met previously. He is the captain of the guard, and he is in discussions with a very distraught-looking dwarf. All of you, go ahead and roll a perception check. You guys overhear this dwarf saying to Escobar in a very panicked voice, she took them, she got them into the sanctuary, everybody is safe there, but I don't know how long it's going to last. Please, you've got to help, you've got to send someone. And Escobar's like, look, I'm sorry, we just don't have the men to send. We don't have enough people. Your daughter is just going to have to hope that they don't get in there. He's like, that's not good enough, for God's sakes, there are children and families in there. You've got to send somebody to help. Escobar looks up as he sees you guys coming towards the medics, and a thought passing through his eyes as he sees you. Escobar looks up and shouts out, "You lot!" And he's specifically looking directly at you, Doomsinger, who directly behind you is Edric, shadowing you. He is the guard, who is a young gnome who has been assigned to keep watch over you in the keep. He says, over here, you are needed.
Yes, what?
Toby
Okay.
stops, goes over.
Oh, well, I'll follow him.
He turns to the dwarven man. This man here is having a problem. Mr. Falkenstone, if you could elaborate. My daughter, she's the priest. She is in the sanctuary of Shanti, and a lot of the townsfolk in the area, they ran there for safety when the attack began because the keep was far too far away. I managed to escape. They were barricaded in, and I'm afraid that if somebody doesn't go there and help them, they're not going to make it out. The cultist people there, they were trying to break in, and please, you must help them. And Escobar turns to you all and says, yes, you must.
Must we?
Toby's kind of scowling at the guy, considering the trouble we gave them earlier.
Well,
and
he
the conversation they
explicitly
overheard.
say the reason you were being allowed to stay is that should you be called upon, you would answer. Because you seemed very capable, and most of you were very uninjured.
It's just this manner of speech, really, that's making Toby a bit like, you must do this. It's just like,
Exactly, I'm similar boat. Where is this sanctuary, and who on earth is Shanti, and what does Shanti do? Priest, do you know anything about Shanti?
Unfortunately not.
Ugh, obviously not one of the big gods then.
So how would you suggest that we get out of the keep without letting them into it?
That is the question. We have the building is old. Tapping his foot, and he's thinking, because obviously getting in and out of the keep is something that they try to keep under wraps. There's an old delivery way access point we used to use for times of siege. It may still be accessible, but I think it's probably got a lot of stuff that needs moving. Follow me. And he starts leading you all towards the tower. When he gets through, he takes you down a set of stone steps into a cellar where there is a large pile of crates and various sort of flotsam and jetsam piled up against the wall, and he sort of looks at you and says, exits out there.
Amazing.
This is going to be the most likely way to get people in and out of the keep. If you're going to be returning with townsfolk, the only safe way that I can think of at this point is to get them in through here. The sanctuary is to the southwest from here. You can't miss it. You'll see it.
Just as a suggestion, if we're leaving through here, you might want to get some guards down here in case anyone sees us leaving, and especially in case people notice us coming back.
I will do my best to do that. We're stretched pretty thin at the moment, but I'm sure we can take someone off the main door, have someone keeping watch. He kind of looks around at you and is like, so, you're going to need to move those. Turns to you, Marin, and says, you look trustworthy. Here. And he gives you an iron key. Behind those grates, there is a door. Make sure you lock it behind you. This is the only key. I have things I need to attend to. If there's anything you need, send someone to find one of the guards, and they'll send word.
We will.
And he heads back upstairs.
Do we need to be stealthy when we leave this? Is there going to be people around there, or because we don't want people to know it's an entrance, right? Otherwise, we can't use it.
Are you saying this in character?
Oh yes, in character.
As far as I know, the back of the keep is not currently being assaulted. It's on a much steeper cliff. You should find that at the end of the tunnel here, it comes out by the river. It should actually be quite clear as far as I'm aware. Oh, before you go. And he takes something out of his armor, and he hands you 2 small vials, Marin. Some of you look like you may need these. And then he handed you 2 simple healing potions.
Oh,
That was nice.
what a gentleman.
Okay, so there's stuff in the way, so Toby starts getting to work moving it out of the way so they can all get through.
I'll begin moving stuff as well.
Yep,
Cool.
I'll go and help with the boxes or...
It's just us 3 moving boxes.
I guess so. It takes you a few minutes. You manage to move majority of the crates and barrels, and you quickly clear and find that there is a large, heavy-looking oak door with a big iron knocker and an apparent keyhole.
Before we head on out, should we go find that medic? I believe some of us required healing.
I rather got the impression that we're a bit time critical.
Well, I do have some healing potions here from the captain.
I am a medic. Hope this isn't forgotten.
You're the wrong kind of medic.
Well, I shall be taking one of these potions. Who else might need the other? I hold it up.
Should we hold on to it in case something really bad happens?
Yeah, keep it.
Yes, we're good to go.
What is the marching order here? I know that Marin has the key. So, Marin, then Toby.
I'll be behind Toby.
And I'm at
Scroll
the back.
will take up the lead as well with Marin. Is Izzo back at the back?
The back is at the back.
What is Zilpip doing?
I'll take up the rear.
So the 3 of you
Everyone's at
are
the
sitting in the back.
The back is very aware of the awkwardness of this.
Marin, you just open the door, right?
Yes.
You take the key and you put it in the lock. It seems that even though it fits, you have some difficulty turning it, but eventually you hear a click and the door opens fairly easily. You find yourself moving into a long stone tunnel. It is very dark in here. Your shoulder and get closer to your head. This place is pretty musty. Do you just move on straight ahead?
Toby does remind Morin to lock the door.
Right. Good
Okay,
idea.
so you go back,
turn
close the
them.
door behind you, and you lock
Lock
up.
it.
So you are now in a pitch black tunnel after Marin shuts the door and closes it behind him. What do you do?
Well, I'm going to grab onto the nearest person and walk with them. My hand on their shoulder.
I'm gonna grab him by the back of the neck. Wait, I'm
He's a giant lizard man, and you're a gnome.
Wait, can I hop on his back?
No.
Oh,
Steer
thank you. Think of this as that Transformers thing where the humans got inside the robots for some reason.
No.
They had head robots. I'll guide you.
You have a light or any kind of light? Any kind?
I can see in the dark, mate.
Oh, I can't see you. Can you take my hand? Can you reach that hand?
I'm gonna start crawling up his back.
Is there a danger of what?
Lighting a torch to make everyone's life a little bit easier for those that don't have dark vision.
I'm going to try and shake off the gnome.
Ignoring all of you, can I just do a little bit of a cantrip? Dancing lights.
Will then everyone see the gnome halfway up the lizard's back?
Well, first off, you haven't done any, if you want to do that, you're going to have to roll a contested grapple to even start.
Ooh. Let's go.
Go back, roll a grapple, which is just the strength check versus strength check.
Watch out, I'm fucking huge, mate.
No!
Go back, you are blind, and suddenly you feel small gnomish hands pulling their way up your spine.
Get off me! Get off! What is this? I'm just going to flail at this point.
Mix is shaking her head at all of this. Yeah, better
Yeah, because
things
all
to
of
do,
you can
guys.
see this, you don't need the light. Doomfinger comes and starts the lights, so suddenly everything is illuminated, so you may make an attack roll without disadvantage. Yes, so you fail to attack or throw this gnome off, however the tunnel is now lit. Murren, as you're at the front of the party, roll a perception check for me, please. You see in the not too far distance 2 swarms of rats charging towards you. You guys can hear them at a distance. You begin to hear the scuttling of small feet and shrieking squeaks as this tunnel is lit up.
How far ahead are they?
70 or so feet. They are rushing towards you.
I shout, "We've got rats!"
How filthy looking are the rats?
This is not an ordinary swarm of rats. This is a raging, foaming swarm of creatures that look rabid, and there's something very sinister about this group. These don't look like particularly friendly rats when they are charging at you in 2 swarms. As you look at these rats mix, you look further down the tunnel and you see that they are leaving behind some very old, very worn looking bones. You're all kind of just staring there dumbstruck. Go ahead and roll initiative.
Well, I'm very occupied.
Yes, you are very occupied. So rather than attacking them, he's actually just going to prepare an attack for when they come in range. Murren, what do you do?
I see that scroll is like, I'm going to try to shoot a dart at this one here.
So you throw one of your darts into the oncoming horde. Yes, but they don't seem to slow at all. They just keep charging towards you. Back.
I'm going to try and throw this damn gnome off my back. I'm very angry and confused and probably haven't even really noticed the lizard.
Are you resisting him at this point? Are you trying to continue climbing him, Zilpip, or are you just going to let him remove you?
Well, I see the rat, so I'm just going to jump off.
You spend your turn trying to flap at this gnome, but he just dislodges himself.
In that case, I'm just going to growl.
So you suddenly realise that there are 2 hordes of rampaging rats running towards you. Doomsinger.
I am going to viciously shout insults at the nearest rats. Psychic rat punching, and they're also devilishly insulted.
What exactly do you say?
Well, as they're rats, they don't need to understand me, apparently. They just need to know they're insulted. This is bloody pathetic. We've fought far more impressive things than that in the last 3 weeks. Rubbish.
And you catch just a glimpse of one of the rats looking really sad.
To which I'll slowly raise my middle finger at that one rat.
You see it squeak at its comrades, and they all suddenly bristle and get very angry. They change direction. They were sort of charging towards Murren after he managed to take out one of the group, but now they go. They seem like they're heading straight diagonally towards you. Mix.
I'm just going to use my crossbow and aim at the closest rat to me.
The sad one. Yeah, exactly.
So you're going to the...
Or actually, I know that they're kind of in hell mode, but is there any way of reasoning with them?
I don't don't know. How are you going to do that?
God.
How are you?
Do you speak rat?
Well, no. Can I try and stop them? I don't want to hurt them. I'm gonna try and engage with one of the rats. I'm gonna try and pick it up.
Where are you moving to do that?
Closer to the rats, I guess.
You can't get close enough because, you have to be next to them to pick them up, and you are not. So you're holding a grapple check. Now that you are the closest target, this swarm of rats runs over. Go ahead and roll your grapple check with disadvantage, which is going to be strength.
Oh, that's not good. Why disadvantage?
Because there is a swarm of rats at your feet trying to bite your fucking face off.
Came
And you're
to
trying
me.
to stick your
They came
hand
to my
into a
ring.
swarm of rats to grab one of them. And surprisingly, that doesn't work. And now the swarm of rats attacks you.
Why have you betrayed me, furry friends? Why?
Come to me, my animal friends. Not like that! Ah!
Yeah, that hits.
Okay, so that's 2d6. Because
Oh.
this is a swarm of rats, and they are vicious.
That's not good.
Uh-oh.
Luckily, take 3 points of damage as you stick your hands into the swarm of rats, and they bite them.
Stupid rats. Last time I trust those things.
Zilpit.
Alright, I'm going to move there for Anglefoot in there, which covers a area of 5 by 5 with 5-foot radius with sticky goo.
You guys see Zilpit reach into his bag, pull something out, he lobs it in Mix's direction, and Mix, your feet are covered in this writhing, sticky goo, but the rats are also covered in it. They screech in dismay because it is icky.
I screech too because it's icky.
Watch out!
Toby.
Mix's whole misadventure, he's kind of been face palming like this isn't happening after watching Zilpit throw. Yeah, so he's just kind of a bit perturbed, but hey, there's this area on the ground where everything's stuck now, so he kind of gets closer and he's going to use Eldritch Blast this horde of rats.
So you try to summon up your Eldritch Blast and you cast it, but what happens is the blast comes down, and as it hits the rats disperse in that area, and it just misses them completely. Despite the slowing, sticky sludge, they manage to simply move out of the way of the blast.
He also
harmlessly.
calls over to Mix these aren't friendly woodland creatures.
I
They're
think
not
I
your
understand
friends.
that now.
The rat horde descends upon you, Mix.
That misses. Okay.
Yeah, you see them gnawing on your boots, being like, but they do not cause any damage. Graw, seeing you in peril, rushes over here, and he shouts at you, "Duck!"
Mix ducks.
as he whips his glaive around at a downward angle over your head and attacks the swarm of rats on the opposite side that he saw Murren throwing darts at previously. So as the glaive comes down into the crowd here, the rats sort of shriek and start to disperse. Murren, what do you do?
Did you say one of the swarms scatter?
They haven't run off, but there are far fewer of them in the horde.
Do the same thing again. The dart on one up here.
You managed to take out one of the rats, but the horde does not seem particularly fazed by your attack. But
I'm really just going to, staring down this rat here, I'm going to slam my hands together and cast Toll the Dead on it.
your tolls fall on deaf ears. You summon your energies, you toll the dead, and you don't see the rats react in any way whatsoever.
I growl and move down.
Doomsinger.
I am going to raise my hand and I will chuck a fire bolt at the rats I previously insulted while singing, "Baby, you're a fire bolt."
Mix.
I'm gonna use my crossbow and shoot some rats.
No, you're not.
Oh.
You frustratedly look down, you try and shoot the rats that are at your feet, but the crossbow bolt just bounces off the ground, clatters away harmlessly. This swarm of rats over here attacks you.
Of course they do. Why wouldn't they? If Mix dies via rat, she's gonna be very unhappy in the afterlife.
You're getting extremely lucky here. You take 2 points of damage.
Lucky. Yeah. Mix is still standing, but just barely. She's probably
so
sunk to her
these,
knees at this point.
Yeah, these rats are ripping into your leg, and it hurts. Zilpit.
I'm gonna throw acid on the rat swarm. The one straight in front of me.
So
Drops of acid.
pick up, pull out a vial, and you give it a whack, stone skim it, and it, instead of hitting the mark, it actually hits the ground right next to it, and only a few splashes of acid from the vial actually land on any of the rats, and they do react badly to it.
Oh.
They don't like being splashed with acid. Toby, Mix is looking extremely fucked. She is looking like she's in serious pain, and she is surrounded by a swarm of rats. What is Toby doing?
He's gonna try once again to destroy the ones that are directly in front of him with Eldritch Blast, because there's not much he can do about Mix's health. Because obviously he can't heal her. The best he can do is try and get rid of the problem.
Sadly, once more, you fire another Eldritch Blast at these rats, and they scatter and then reform completely unperturbed by your attempts at violence towards them. The few remaining rats, now in the small swarm here, try once more to attack Mix. Squirrel is going to try again to attack the rats, and does so successfully. He swings his glaive down once more and kills the remaining rats in the swarm. As this happens, the rats by Mix shriek, and they start darting in different directions. Instead of suddenly being like a concentrated force, they start just scattering.
I'm going to move here. Gonna wallop onto this rat with mace.
You manage to catch a couple of the rats underneath your mace. And even though it feels like a really hefty blow, you notice that the rats that are near the mace sort of dodge aside, and you don't catch as many of them as you think.
Can I go for a normal strike?
Fuck you, rats!
Rats are stupid and I
It's
don't
only
like them.
fucking rats.
So you slam your fist into one of these rats, and what actually happens is like your hand connects, and the rat, you feel like as your fist connects with the rat, it's almost like the rat is kind of flowing with the movement of your fist, and so the impact from your fist ends up being significantly less than it should have been had the rat sort of just been standing like a normal rat.
And a novel rat.
Calm down a little bit. I haven't seen what the way they react to that bell, so I'm now going to try using my chill touch. Oh, 9. Rolls are not on par today.
You try to summon the skeletal hand, and you find that it passes through them, but it seems to just not be as substantial as is required to have any effect on real matter. And the rats simply shrug off the effects of your magic.
I just suck at magic today.
Oh, these are magical rats.
Fucking
I
rats.
blame the gnome.
Doomsinger, what do you
I
do?
will saunter slightly forward and go, "These rats are on fire!" Throw another firebolt at them.
You summon a firebolt and you launch it forwards, and screeches as the creatures dissipating do get their fur singed.
Delicately warmed.
Oh, we're all so bad at this.
Nix.
I really want to stomp them with my feet, but the idea of squishing rat guts is gross, so I'm gonna try throwing daggers at them.
You don't have to throw the daggers, you can just stab them because you're within 5 feet.
I will just stab them.
You
Yay.
bring out your dagger, and you just start stabbing rapidly at this little swarm of rats, and you manage to catch one of them. But despite your repeated attacks against this swarm, the dagger doesn't do nearly as much damage to the group as you expect. You now have rat guts on your dagger. The rat swarm is dispersing, and so it is not going to attack you. It is going to run its full movement speed twice.
It's not going to get away.
You would get an attack of opportunity. In fact, all 3 of you.
Oh.
Squirrel rolled the natural 1. Wish to make an attack of opportunity as these rats flee.
Yes.
So you guys wail on the rats. Squirrel kind of tries, but with you both so close, he really struggles to get in there with his glaive, and he kind of just, his blade scrapes along the ground, and it makes an awful screeching sound. The rats run down the hall, and they run into the stone, and they disappear into the walls.
Damned rats. Mix,
Well, that
so
was a
you
pleasant
okay?
distraction.
Yeah, Toby rushes over to Mix to make sure she's fine. She's
Do
not
you need a
fine.
potion?
Fine is relative.
I hold out the healing potion if she wants to take it.
Squirrel kind of looks at you and says, "Whilst I admire your bravery, friend, perhaps you should leave the front lines to some of the rest of us." And he kind of gestures towards himself and Murray, and he's like, "Whilst I hope you don't mind me saying this, you're not exactly built for taking punishment."
Mix occasionally forgets this.
I shall turn to Urbak and say, "Lizard Gap, there's teeth over there. I hear you're interested in such things."
I'm ignoring Doomsinger and storming straight over to the gnome and I'm going to smack him upside the head, just angrily.
No, not his teeth.
It's just an improv physical.
Quick, let's just a quick smack to the back of the head.
Yeah, it's a D4. You want to assault someone, you're going to assault them. You said, I angrily run over and smack the gnome.
Alright, Mr. Literal.
So
We
Zil,
heard his
you take
dignity.
4 points of damage
Uh,
as the giant lizard man assaults you.
You try anything like that again, I will feed you to those rats myself!
Next time I'll leave you in the dark. I will leave you in this cave. I want to pull out some bloody healing draw out of my bag, and I'm going to drink it.
I'm going to trot over to the priest and just generally...
You pull out a healing draft and you feel rejuvenated.
The scratch on the back of my head pops back out.
No, it did. He didn't cave your skull in. He just gave you a smack, but it hurt. Mix is very heavily wounded right now and has been given the only healing potion.
Bottoms up.
Doomsinger, you were approaching Murren. Was there anything you wanted to say?
I was
or
just
were you
going to general
wandering
make light conversation while everything else is going on. Nothing particularly important.
We all good here?
Shall we carry on? I know it's charming here, but the dead rats are rather spoiling my shoes.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to get away from the... Yeah.
Fabulous.
get out of
Well,
this place.
lead on, priest. I'll go back to the lizard chap.
Toby just
His name
puts a
is
hand on.
Urbach.
Same
That's
marching order
lovely.
as before, or
Basically, he puts a hand on Mix's shoulder and he's just like, I love you, but please don't do that again.
Mix sort of like looks a little guilty and is like, I just didn't want to kill them, you know?
I think they very much wanted to kill us.
Well, I was hoping I could persuade them, and I was wrong, so in future, I promise I will use better caution with rabbit animals.
Thank you.
Scroll turns to you and says, "You're a warlock. Can you not speak with animals?" And he gestures towards Toby, who has the raven. He says, "I assume this one can."
This is a very particular case. It's just this particular bird I can speak to.
Ah, so the bird speaks.
No, it's a bit more complicated than that. It's more like telepathy, but it's very simple telepathy.
Does it understand what I'm saying?
I speak bird.
Toby, you feel mildly perturbed.
He also feels slightly insulted.
And that's not Toby. That's Oz. You're just radiating the sensation of, are these guys for fucking real?
Oz thinks you're all idiots. Can we get going?
You just hear in your brain.
Let's-
Just,
Okay, we're moving on.
Oz like, well, I think birds aren't that smart, like, either. Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't say it, but
Onwards!
Toby's thinking. He doesn't say it, but Toby's thinking my bird is smarter than all of you.
Thinks it's a dragon. It's a stupid bird.
Toby's
Big burn, bro.
at that mumbling tails. Toby's tail has started like flicking with slight irritants. He wants to say something, but he thinks better of it.
You guys continue to make your way down the corridor.
So I'm just gonna stay close
Yeah.
to Toby and be smarter
That's
about
fine.
my decisions.
Toby will be smarter about your decisions for you.
You guys make your way down the stone corridor, and it takes you a few minutes of walking around in the dark. You do have the dim light from the lights that Doomsinger has generated.
You're welcome.
Do you continue to generate those as you go down the corridor, or...?
I will continue to generate them. I'm
Yeah.
old as brass.
You find your way towards a large iron gate, and it appears to be driven directly into the stone.
When you say iron gate, is there any light pouring through it at all?
Very low light. It's a moonlit night, but there is cloud cover, so it's not light out. It is very late at night at this point. There is light to you because it's dim light, but it certainly seems lighter, yes.
I check if the gate's open.
So it's a heavy bar
There's some
gate.
light.
Can I see any levers on the wall?
Murren, how are you checking the gate? Grab hold of the bars on the door and you kind of give it a shove and you sort of try and give it a pull. There's no give in it at all. It seems like the gate will not move. Doomsinger looks around in the corridor. You do not see any sort of levers or any kind of mechanisms. Doesn't look like there's any chains attached to the gate in any way. It doesn't look like this is a mechanism operated door.
I take the
However,
key
you
out?
do see there is a keyhole.
I'm gonna try the key on the.
You try the key in the door, and it seems kind of like it wants to move, but the lock is so rusted and decayed that it's not moving. I need you to roll a dexterity check. You're very careful, and you manage to click the door open. You push the gate open, and as you do so, you notice that in the area outside of the gate, it leads towards a riverbed. However, there appear to be a few cultists prowling the area at the moment. And they don't appear to have noticed you just yet.
But they're between us and the river. And I see these.
You can see them at the moment, yes.
Okay.
So at the moment, you're a bit ahead of everyone else. They have not noticed you. They don't appear to have noticed the entrance right now.
I turn back and say, might have more company outside. Shall we try and sneak past them?
Yeah, can you see any, clear way to get past them unnoticed? It might be best if we try and keep our encounters to a minimum from here on out.
Go ahead and roll a perception check if you want to go back and check. You were not particularly certain. It seems like a quite broadly open area, and there seems like there's a lot of sort of shrub cover and the like, but you didn't really see any specific pathways. It doesn't mean it can't be done. You just didn't notice anything yourself.
Mm-hmm. Possibly.
There are quite a few of them. Can we sneak out? Is there many of them? Maybe it'd be better to take care of them as we sneak out.
Have to be very careful. I don't want them seeing us before we attack them.
Can we camouflage ourselves at all? I mean, I know it's nighttime, but still.
Well, if we kill the lights, we'd have a chance.
Well, at this point, yes, I think killing the light would be a good idea before we move anywhere.
Before we open this giant, squeaky, rusty gate right next to the kobold.
The gnome has a point. So that's a rusty-looking gate.
The lock looked rusty. The gate itself is.
My vote is that we jump them all. We take them out as quickly as we can.
Is there any way one of us is small enough to get through the gate without opening it, like through the gaps?
Nope.
Oh.
I do have a sleep spell, but I am not convinced it can work on that many people. The issue I have is whether I can affect all of them. The more there are, the harder it is to affect all of them, simply put. We'll probably get knocked down a few, and then we could finish off the last one.
How long does it last?
Well, long enough for us to run, perhaps. We could remove a person.
But surely then we would be making them aware that there was something here.
Depends how disciplined they
Escobar,
are.
the guard, said this entrance was very secret. Surely we must ensure that nobody finds it. Otherwise, when we return with the townsfolk, it will simply be probably sieged the same way the rest of the game is.
Just kill everybody.
There is that.
The thing is, we don't know if there's more out there than what can be seen.
I'll kill them too.
Leave no survivors. He said leave no survivors to tell the tale.
Roy's got a big chopper, we'll be fine.
Continues. Well, I still think we should at least try and get the jump on them rather than, charging out there.
Are they moving at the moment, or are they waiting?
They are searching the area.
Maybe worth waiting for them to simply pass on by.
But they could notice us in the process.
Seems a cowardly option if you ask me.
Well, if you wish the deaths of everyone in the keep to be on your head, then be brave.
Well, if we were brave, surely we would take out these filthy ruffians.
Nobody gives them Scraw a dubious look, but he is kind of like, if we stay here and wait, they could notice the gate and come in our direction anyway, so we probably want to take them out before that. We need to make a decision. I vote that we try to leave as quietly as possible and get the jump on them, but I firmly believe we should be taking them out.
Can anyone lure them here in Draconic? You speak it. We could lure them here. We can speak the language. We can convince them that we're one of them, saying we found the gate. Lure them in here. Get the jump on them.
Scrawl says, didn't somebody take one of the masks?
Toby looks very uncomfortable suddenly. He's like, I have one of the masks.
Well then, that sounds great. We could do that.
Toby digs through his inventory to find the mask.
And then he turns to Doomsinger and goes, "You're wearing a cloak. Looks just like one of theirs. You should do it."
Toby visibly relaxes a bit.
I suppose a bit of acting would be quite good fun. Gets me away from you lot.
You'll have to change your mask in front of us.
Pardon?
You'll have to change your mask right here. We've got no time for dilly-dallying. Quick, change your mask.
I can turn around and go and do it over there in the shadows. Thank you very much.
Cusses.
I'd just like to point out, the problem with this plan is also that he can't speak Draconic.
The priest can tell him what to say. The priest knows of the gods.
Toby looks very dubious about this plan of action.
Perhaps the priest could pretend to be a prisoner.
How do you say quick, brothers, this way in Draconic?
Could have the priest speak and like throwing the voice. Is that what you call it?
At this point, I'm like, screw this. I think we should just get the jump on them. And I am opening the door. I'm going to try and do it stealthily, okay?
Yep, sure. Go ahead and roll a stealth check. So you quietly open the door.
Open it like wide enough so that we can all get out single file. I turn around, motion my head.
Toby follows as stealthily as possible.
Mix is going to follow, but as far back as she can to kind of avoid being seen.
I suggest someone swallows the key in case we're captured. After we lock the door.
Let's not do that. That seems like that's going to be more trouble later.
I'm going to quickly stroll into the shadows to the side and swap me masks. Rector Patronum, I'm now wearing a Dragon Cult mask.
I need you to make a sleight of hand. You definitely sneakily switch your masks, trying to look, and you just... It's almost like if you were looking directly at him, put your hand on the mask, and you pull your mask away, and the dragon mask is already underneath it.
Oh my god.
So are you going to take the lead then?
Oh no, I'm going to let you go ahead. I was just swapping masks anyway.
You're just now going to wear the cultist mask.
For the time being, yep, you guys can carry on your sneaky things.
So, Zilpip, you notice that as these guys are making their way out of the building, the Doomsinger puts on the cultist mask. And Morin, are you leading? Anybody who's sneaking out, make a stealth check.
I'd say that Toby is behind Morin.
Mix, you said you were hanging back.
Yeah.
I think I'm the last one out because I speak to Doomsinger, so I'm going to be at the end.
We're all in the sneaky line. Sneaky Congo line.
I'm just sitting and watching you go for now. In fact, I'll dim my lights actually as well. I'll blink it down to only one light remaining.
I'm going to step out the gate. I want to move along this wall here, and then I want to try and gauge roughly how many there are of them.
Well, you already know how many there are. There are 2 cultists and 6 kobolds. So you guys all successfully sneak out of the gate, and as you do so, you suddenly hear an almighty clang as Scraw's glaive hits the stonework above the gate and generates an almighty smashing noise. You hear in Draconic, small scripty voices saying, "Did you hear that? Where? Quick, over here!"
Guys, get ready. I kind of want to go back and hide. Mix is going to go back and try and stay hidden.
Toby's already out the gate, so he holds his ground.
Scrawl charges out, embarrassed and flustered. He charges and presses himself against a wall.
Can I rush over to the this side of the wall?
He's assuming there's going to be a fight regardless, but...
Mix, where are you hiding?
Quick question, could I theoretically fit an arrow through the slots on the door?
Possibly, but you'll have limited range of vision because it's not solid, but the gaps are not broad.
I'm going to lean against this wall behind me, picking my nails with my dagger.
Everyone roll initiative.
I'm giving Scrawl a look like, really?
Oh, you mean with his slamming the glaive into the ceiling? Well, you guys spent a whole bunch of time talking, and he spaced out, and as he was sneaking, his glaive hit the ceiling. It's everyone makes mistakes. Marin, you're up.
Do I see any of them where I'm at?
Probably see this cultist over here, and the kobold behind him.
I'm gonna just edge along.
Okay, so you move along the wall.
I'm gonna shoot a dart.
Because you're trying to throw a dart into someone's face from like 45 feet. Cultist cries out in pain as you throw a dart and it hits him in the side of the neck. He grabs at it, he's clutching and trying to work out where that came from. This kobold reacts to the noise and comes rushing over, looks around and sees Scraw. Scraw is going to rush here and just attack the kobold. He cuts down the kobold with one swoop of glaive. This kobold sees Scraw cutting down his compatriot and whips out a sling and fires it at him. You hear Scraw growl in pain as a stone hits him in the eye. You're up.
You said I can't shoot diagonally, right? If I'm behind the...
Yep, you can only shoot in a straight line, unless you come out of the gate.
I am going to come out of the gate. And then I am going to shoot a crossbow.
You notice this kobold has wings, and unfortunately that doesn't hit. The arrow just swishes past him.
Mix is annoyed.
Bigger and slightly more agile than the unwinged version. Zilpip.
I'm gonna throw that falling on the ground again. Will they be able to see me if I throw stuff out?
I mean, you're not hidden.
Can I throw it there?
So you pull out your Tanglefoot bag and you whack it out there, and that spreads the area for this guy. Rushes over here, and he is actually flying now. He pulls out a dagger and he braces with it, ready to attack. Doomsinger, what are you doing?
I am going to casually lean against the rock and bardically inspire Mix, as she's the nearest. I'd have a little strum thing. You can do it, yeah. And then hide my loot back in my robes again.
Back.
I'm going to gently creep. So I'm going to try and be stealthy. Or rather the edge of the gate. If I was stood here, would I be able to see anything?
No. There is a big iron door in front of you.
Right, in which case, I am going to... So I'm just going to prepare the chill touch, keeping an eye through the gap.
Or what trigger?
Well, to spot an enemy. If I spot an enemy, I'm going to try and...
Those of you who speak Draconic here, spread out, there may be more of them! And this one flies over your head, and it drops a rock on you, Murren. 8 points of damage as the large rock bludgeons you in the head, dropped by the wicked winged kobold. So you guys see this kobold drop a stone on Murren's head, and he is really badly injured by it. Toby.
Yeah, Toby's going to go for that kobold and hopes that shooting it won't bring it down on Murren's head as well.
Well, it's currently not holding anything, so it should probably be alright.
I imagine a kobold landing on you is also not pleasant. He's going to use Eldritch Blast and hope that it hits this time.
You just blast this thing out of the sky. It gets blasted backwards. It goes... and it lands on the ground, dead as a doornail, in front of its compatriots.
I'm assuming that because of the wall, their compatriots don't know what just happened.
He rushed over there, and then suddenly... and he goes flying backwards and slams onto the ground, dead. This kobold sees the muck on the ground and is going to try and walk around it. He is going to fire a slingshot at Zilpit. Murren, it is your turn.
Right, this point here, if I stood here, would that still keep me just on the...
You would have half cover.
Can I shoot this guy from here? I'll take a shot at this guy.
We'll throw a dart, and he kind of just dodges out of the way. The blood from the rock that hit you in the head trickling down into your eyes, obscuring your vision, just makes it difficult to aim. Squirrel sees you trying to target that kobold and swings at him with his glaive. That's a natural 20. Obviously feeling guilty, he channels that into the face of this kobold, as he knows that this fight wouldn't even be happening if it wasn't for him, and the kobold gets split in two. Very, very dead kobold. Seeing Squirrel having assaulted his comrade, he is going to shoot him with a slingshot. Nix, what are you doing?
I'm gonna try the crossbow again.
The winged kobold that is flying
Yeah, that one.
towards the group, holding a big rock. You shoot the arrow, and it penetrates both wings, and the creature plummets to the ground, hitting its head into the dirt, where it falls unconscious. Zilpit.
Can you say acid time? I'm going to try my light crossbow on this bad boy.
Yeah, so you shoot him with your light crossbow, and it takes him out. Doomsinger.
Aha! Hearing noise of battle from outside, I'll just casually walk forward a bit, stand myself just in the doorway, and my general saunter over there towards the open doorway. I can't still see anything, so I'm just gonna stand there casually. Can I ready a cantrip?
What's the trigger?
An enemy walking within 30 feet of me.
Within line of sight and 30
Yes.
feet? Yeah.
And it'll be a firebolt.
I'm going to move to here. Well, yeah, everything's kind of dead, isn't it, really? I've gotten this far, and there's no one out there. So I'm going to... Similarly, I'm going to prep my cantrip up and just look for anything that looks like a kobold or cultist or such like. Even though the vision's a bit naff, so I'm going to keep an eye out on anything there. I'm going to carefully give it a quick chill touch.
Toby.
Yeah, he's going to Eldritch Blast that dude.
This guy was already looking extremely rough, so You blast him to the ground, and the cultist over here sees his compatriot's body fly backwards and now knows that there is something specifically on this side of the wall that is doing that. Murren.
I'm gonna step here and keep chucking darts.
So you drop that kobold, and now there is simply the remaining cultist. Scrawl is just going to charge them. Swing his glaive, force at the cultist. It's an extremely heavy hit, but he is looking very rough. Still standing. Nyx.
Gonna move here. I'm gonna keep up with the crossbow because I don't want to be hit again. Nah, let's try Eldritch Blast on the thing.
Nyx rushes over and blasts the cultist with an Eldritch Blast, dropping him to the ground, killing him dead.
Whee!
And it's on that fatal blow which we leave you this week. New episodes are every Sunday. You can find us on iTunes, as well as through most Android podcast providers. If you find somewhere we're not listed, drop us a message at Dark Dragons Inn on Twitter, and we'll do what we can. If you've left us a rating or review, let us know where via Twitter, or you can email us on contact@talesfromthedarkdragonsinn.com, that's TAILS, and we'll give you a shout out in our next episode. The song at the beginning of this episode was Extravaganza by TRG Banks, and the song you're now hearing is While You Are Here by Ending Satellites.